Today we're going to be covering one of the best chargers I've come across for Lipo batteries. This charger is ideal for at-home charging and, more importantly, in the field charging. It is the ISDT Q6 Plus. This is a 300 watt charger that discharges at 14 amps. Now, this charger right here costs $60 by itself. And I think actually the actual price, maybe $50, $60, that area. This is $70 for the AC power adapter, and then this very sexy parallel board is a whopping $50. Now, this is a very expensive way to get into something like this, but is it worth the money? That's what we're going to be covering today. Alright, so right here we have the actual ISDT, and it's a really small, nice little box. They have their own design. This particular one I got here is the white one, so it's not going to be the exact same color of that. Let's go ahead and open it up. So there it is. It's a very interesting looking charger. First thing I noticed that it's actually a different shape than the box would have led me to believe. It's actually nice to hold. I don't know how to express this feeling. The glass is nice and shiny. It's not a touchscreen, which is a big plus for me. I personally don't like touchscreens in devices like this. I much rather prefer this little knob right here. So just to click it down, I think that's all the functions you need. Let's see what else comes in the box. There's not really too much. As a trend for this entire hobby, there's no instruction manual in the whole thing. So this here is the parallel board, and this is probably one of the coolest parts of this entire little kit. Again, you don't have to buy any of these things together, but I'll just reiterate that right now. You could buy any one of them separately, and I'm going to go ahead right now say if you had to buy just one, definitely just get the charger. The other two things are kind of neat, but they're a bit expensive for what they are. This is by far the most expensive, so opening it up, we get this right here. It's a very heavy parallel board. Now, it's ridiculously sexy. It just looks great. I really do like how it feels. It's a nice cold touch today. But a huge downside is that it's only a 4-port parallel board. So the alternative is one of those plasticky ones you get from China for 20 bucks. Let me go ahead and grab one. So the alternative to something like this is just getting this type of parallel board, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. This is 6-port. The only benefit this has on this is that it says safe parallel, and I actually do not know what that means, but it also goes up to 8S, which is the only known difference I can think of. Definitely, if you're going to get this, if what your charging setup looks like, which if you're just going to leave it in your house all the time and keep it on your table, then maybe this is a good option. But for 50 bucks, you could get 2 of these, and I'll get into a reason why you might want 2 of these in a little bit. Okay, and here we have the DC power supply. Another thing about this charger that I forgot to mention is that it is only DC compatible. It will not run off of AC, so you can't plug this into your wall without this here. And another thing which makes this very strange is this is a 160 watt and it outputs at 27 volts, which is really weird. Most chargers, like this Venom charger I have here, which I'll be talking about in a little bit, they take only up to about, I think, 13 to 14 volts, but DC power goes up to 18 volts on here. If you guys, I'll go ahead and get that in focus. So 18 volts is the limit. Something like this outputs at 27 volts only. There's no adjustment here. That's a very strange choice they made. I'm not exactly sure why they did that. And the other thing, it's only at 160 watts, which is another bottleneck for this specific model of charger. The ISDT I have here is the one that is rated to 300 watts at 14 amps, which is going to be only achieved if you have a very large battery, which is, when you're going to the field, it's what you want. But for at home, that's not the best because this will not be able to help out. So continuing on here, let's go ahead and just open this box up. It's a very interesting packaging this company has chosen, and I do very much like it. So up here on the top, pretty sure, there it is. And again, just with the theme of everything else, this just looks incredible. I thought this was a little spot at first. I think it's just an LED. So just get a closer look for everything here. It just looks incredible. I mean, they took a lot of time designing something that looks good, which is a bit strange for this hobby. This little parallel board here does not look good. This does look good. Now, I would love to have this just lying out in the open in my house, so you don't have to clean it up when people come around. It looks good. I like it. So if you really wanted an at-home charger and you have not bought anything yet, go for these two. You're looking at about 130 bucks, 120 bucks for both of them. Definitely worth it. I do very much like them. They're incredibly good, and I'll get more into the functions that make this worth it. If you're looking for just DC charging at the field, you can't really beat anything of this size. My at-home charger that I was using before this is that Venom Pro Duo charger that I was showing earlier. This guy here, and I do very much like this, but it's only 80 watt. You do get 2 channels, so you could charge 2 different types of batteries at different times, which is a great benefit, especially if you have a lot of different types of aircraft like me. But I don't know if I can justify bringing this to the field. It does have a carry handle, it's just huge. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and plug in the charger and see what happens. I'm just gonna use a 3300 4-cell off to the side. I'm not gonna use the DC power supply because there's no outlets nearby. Alright, so right away you could hear a very loud fan. There's a brushless fan in the back that will only come on when it needs to cool. It has an internal temperature sensor, so we'll be able to know the temperature while it's charging. So now we're going to go ahead and look at some of the settings that are included in here. Again, everything's just chosen by this one dial. So right here we have the 6 battery voltage settings. I don't have any battery plugged in. Let me go ahead and plug in one just so we could get an example. Alright, there we go. So we get our 4 voltages. Everything's at 3.84. Let's go ahead and scroll down and see what other information we get. So we have again, I think just the full voltage. I'm not actually sure what those 2 symbols mean. And we have the internal charger temperature. Now let's go ahead and press the button down and we get our first menu. So up here, we could choose the task. Let's go ahead and see what options we have. We have charge, discharge, and storage. Let's choose charge. It's going to be on Lipo. And we've got a lot of different options here, but this is a Lipo. Voltage, you want to make sure, I mean, if you're doing high voltage or if you just want to get it to a weird thing, you could choose that, but most of the time it's just going to be 4.2 volts. Our cell count, we're going to go ahead and do 4 cell. It only goes up to 6 cell, which is again a weird design flaw because this right here, this weird parallel board they include, goes up to 8 cell, which is its only good selling point other than looking nice, and it's not even compatible with this charger. So let's do the current setting. This is a 3300, so we'll go ahead and do 3.3 amps. Let's just see how high it goes. And wow, I'm not used to seeing a charger go this high. It's up to 14 amps, which is ridiculous that this thing could output that high. But for now, we're going to go ahead and choose just 3.3. I usually charge at 1C just to keep my batteries alive for a good amount of time, and I usually plan ahead, and I don't need to rush it. So you could go ahead and press start, and that's it. So let's go ahead and press start, see what happens. That's what it looks like, and I'm assuming that this red screen turns to green when it's done charging. Another interesting thing is in a little bit I'll get the resistance in each cell, and it has something to do with telling how the quality of the cell is like. I actually don't know how to speak resistance for Lipo, so I have no idea what that means. And the last one, again, we got just everything just monitored here. A lot of information you're probably never going to use, but it's nice to know. The big important ones are what it's charging at, which is 3.3 amps, and how much has been pumped into the battery, which is 22 milliamps. So this is it's a very nice little setup. All of this is very easy and portable, and if I wasn't holding the charger up here, I'd just plug in the battery directly. Now, a lot of people watching this are going to be quad guys. They need to charge a lot of 1300 4 cells, so they're definitely going to need one of these parallel boards. But for now, I'm just going to plug it as if I'm just charging one big battery. So again, we're just letting it charge for a little bit. The fan hasn't come on. I think it's going to take a while before the fan comes on. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop the charge here, and you could adjust the current, which is, I didn't even know that until right now. Just gotta press stop and get rid of that battery. So there we go, just a sample for charge. I don't need to charge this battery, it's at storage, so I'll leave it at storage. Let's go in here, and there's actually another menu which I did not know about. So if you go ahead and hold down this button, you get a whole lot of interesting things, which is really where this charger comes into its own. So first one, we have max input power. I don't know why you'd want to change this for the input. Maybe if you don't want to strain a battery too hard, but usually I just go flat out, go ahead and let the battery discharge as high as it wants. So minimum input voltage, this is really important. So you could choose where this has a low voltage cutoff on the battery that you're using to power the charger. This is a huge feature, especially if you're doing DC charging. So for example, this 3300 4-cell battery, I don't want it to go below, let's say 14.5 volts. Okay, so I'll go ahead right there, just select 14.5. Its upper limit is 24 volts, so it's good for a 6-cell. I think that's actually a good range. I don't think you'll need anything else, because the only other reason you'd be higher than 24 volts is if you're charging off at 8S, which would be too much voltage for this, or if you're using the DC power supply, in which case it will be constant voltage and it won't care. So that's the charger right there. And let me go ahead and show you what this whole DC charging setup I just did looks like. So we got our charger here, and I literally just had a battery plugged into it. And actually, you know what? You don't even need this extension. You could just go straight into it. That's it. That's your charger right there. That's where this money is worth. If you're looking for a DC charger, this is what it should look like. This is the most convenient form I could possibly think of for something like this. It's very, very, very nice quality. So as an at-home charger, this is a great little device. I highly recommend it. Again, so far everything I've recommended on this channel has been a good recommendation. Haven't gotten anything I haven't been happy with yet. Only thing I wouldn't recommend to get is this parallel board. It looks amazing. It's just too expensive. It's $50. It's not worth $50. It has literally less features than one of these shitty Chinese things. These work fine. Now, I thought it wouldn't be fair to just praise this charger without giving it a little bit of competition. We're looking at about $60 for this charger and $70 for the DC power supply, which I would get if you get this charger and you want it for home charging. If you're just looking for something in your backpack to bring with you while flying, this is great. So, to be fair, I'm going to go ahead and give it some comparison, and I'll give you an alternative. Now, if you don't want to spend the $140 or about $130 on that charger, you could go ahead and spend $100 and get something like this. This is the Venom Pro Duo, that Pro Duo dual power thing. It's two chargers. They're two 80-watt chargers. That's what you have to make. That's like the key that you have to keep in mind. Now, this charger is the traditional RC charger layout. What do I mean by that? This is pretty much what you're going to see if you get any of the chargers. So this is what I mean when I say traditional Lipo layout. You say this screen. So let's go ahead and look at some of the settings here. We'll just press start, and first thing you get to do, it's a very simple layout that I'm sure you're familiar with. You get 4 buttons here. There's one extra button for this charger, so you can actually switch the channels, because again, there are 2 chargers. This is 2-in-1, so it claims 160 watts. What it means is it's 2 80-watt chargers. So overall, what is my final verdict on this? For $60, you do get a lot of stuff, and I think it's incredibly good value for money. The only thing I'd give hard consideration for today is whether or not to buy these 2 things. If you want to charge at home, if this is going to be your main charger, the ISDT is going to be the only charger you buy, get this. If you are not a millionaire, do not get this. This is just a complete waste of money. This is really expensive. It looks incredible. It's heavy. It's very small compared to the other normal parallel charging ports, but just be sensible. Get yourself one of these and just call it a day. This works just as well, does the exact same thing. Actually, it does it even better. It has 6 spots open. So if you're charging 1300 4-cells, this is, you just fill up the ranks and this charger will supply it. A couple things I should mention before I go ahead and end is, first of all, this is actually not the cheapest version of this charger. There is a 150-watt charger that I had before this one, and it's just as good. The only difference is, obviously, it's only going to output about 7 amps. Is it the best RC charger out there? I think there's better. I know there's 1,000-watt chargers that do it better, but I think for the price, for the size, for the quality, and for just the elegance, the nice design included, this is an incredibly good buy. I'm very happy with this, and I'm definitely gonna recommend it to everyone there. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be sure to leave a link in the description for all things listed here, including the Venom Duo charger if I remember. I'll probably forget. All right, have a good day.